Brett Gaskett. That be your name?
It would be.
Excellent. Where were you on the night of Friday? So for those, I'm sure many have already heard of Brett before, but Brett is quite a masterful guitar builder based here in Melbourne. And when you check out his website, which is Gasket...
Just GasketGuitars.com.
Just GasketGuitars.com.
That's Gasket with 2 T's, not like the engine part.
No, yeah. Gaskett. I will write it on the screen underneath that, just like they do on real TV shows. And when having a look at your website, man, you do a bit of everything. You teach music, you build guitars, you service guitars, you paint guitars.
Yeah.
You do paint. You do pretty much everything. You studio engineer, and you teach studio audio engineering at a school. And so I think it's probably with all of that stuff. Obviously there's a long history in everything you've done. So I suppose the easiest question to lead off with is, what's your favourite Britney Spears song?
Oh, I'd have to go with Toxic, I reckon.
It was
it's later, yeah.
Do you think it was because of the video that made that song so much better?
Oh, I didn't know there was music to it. I always thought
you didn't know there was music.
I just always had it muted.
Yeah. And you've never been on... Yeah, I mean, airplane flights have never been the same since.
No.
Funny how that happens, isn't it? Anyway... So where did it all start for you? Like, I suppose, and I mean, it's such a common question, isn't it? Just to go straight back, where did it all start?
Yeah.
But you've obviously had a lifetime of music.
Not really. Like, I mean, so I picked up guitar, well, relatively late. Like, I didn't start playing until I was probably in like year 9, so I was about 14 or something like that. And at the time, I didn't take it that seriously when I first started. I was sort of like playing a little bit, got into a few things, and then I broke my ankle quite badly in year 10,
right. And
I was just stuck at home for like a month with nothing to do, and I kind of just picked up the guitar and got obsessed with it. I was playing a lot of basketball before that, like three games a week probably, and then after that I was like, no, I kind of just want to play guitar all the time now. Yeah. So that's where the obsession started. Year 11 and stuff, I was doing gigs in pubs with my brother, who started around the same time. Just doing like covers and things like that. What was the place in Diamond Creek? It used to be called AD Ryan's. I think it's called.
Windy Mile.
Yeah. So I did my first gig there in the front bar, and I would have been 15, I reckon, at the time. I bleached blonde, spiky hair, when Linkin Park was really popular.
Or Offspring.
Yeah. Well, both. I did like both.
Yeah.
But and I think we played like, I remember playing Alive by Pearl Jam, and I was like, oh shit, this has got a 2-minute guitar solo in it, and everyone's just gonna throw shit at me when we're done, like, you know. So like, there's me doing the solo, staring at my feet. I didn't look up the entire time. The whole band didn't look up.
So it was truly Seattle.
Yeah. Very shoegazy kind of thing. Yeah. But that was sort of where it started with the playing of it, and then when I was like in probably year 11, 12 kind of thing, I started learning off a guy called Brett Wood, who's plays guitar for Pete Murray and things like that.
Now, I thought I'd heard the name.
Yeah, fantastic guitar player, and that sort of like sparked my interest in stuff. And he came into, I came into my lesson one day, and he had this silver Bellman, and he just got it, and I was just like, "What is this thing? I've never heard of this company." And I started looking them up, and they had a few in the shop that I was learning at the time, and I'd made a deal with my parents to every $1 that I saved for a car, they would save $1 as well. So, which I thought was a pretty good deal.
That's a good bargain.
Yeah. So I'm in year 12 by this point. I'd been learning off Brett, liked these guitars, been drooling over them for a while. I'd saved up about $3,000, probably a bit more, and then so I would have had a $6,000 car, and would have been pretty good for P-Plater back then. Then I decided to spend it all on a Bellman Albatross, and I caught the bus and walked to TAFE, where I was studying music after that. didn't get a car until I was 19. But I stand by my
Worth it.
decision because I've still got the guitar.
Yeah.
That first car is probably dead. My '89 Camry Ultima.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's probably gone now. Yeah.
You can only but hope.
Yeah.
That it's gone.
But I mean, when I bought that guitar, I was like, all right, well, I've got this other guitar, which was my first guitar, and it was like I'd had a Jackson reverse headstock thing with EMGs before that, but had this Strat copy that was my first guitar, and I reckon I started tinkering with it. I stripped the paint off it, and I started just trying to put in a different tuning and try to learn how guitars actually kind of worked. Just ripped it into pieces. And I think it's been refretted about 30 times now because that was just the neck.
So you still got it?
I've still got the neck is sitting in the cellar right now, and the body is underneath the house. That's kind of
it kind of sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah.
The neck is in the cellar, the body is under the house.
It's like I've got chains and all those kinds of things. Yeah.
Oh, you've got a red room.
Yeah.
Nice, Christian Grey, ladies and gentlemen.
So I the guitar spent a little while as a garden ornament over the last probably 5 years. So
it's cool that you still got it though, because I kind of regret having sold my first guitar that I purchased. Like I had it was a Carina brand, which was I God knows where they came from. I suppose it's that they probably got rebranded as Squires eventually.
Yeah,
they were very much of the same ilk, probably from the same factories.
Yeah.
And I kept it for a long time, and I kind of suppose I always regretted selling it though. And I did see it years later in like this is when I was living in New Zealand, and it showed up in a Cash Converters, and I recognised it because it had, I knew my guitar obviously, but I had this pickguard which had a spider web on it, a Strat pickguard with a spider web on it, which instantly does not make a Strat cool. But I thought it was.
Well, that's debatable. It depends on.
It was tacky.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I digress. So you've got the body in the house.
Well, but back on your point of like seeing it in a Cash Converters, I sold Australian guitar. Have you heard of Ian Noyce before?
Yeah, Noyce guitar.
So I had a Noyce that I had made for me. What would it have been? It would have been like 2006-ish, something like that, and it was this gloss black, kind of like white binding thing, and it had like a Wilkinson trem, Strat style neck, humbucker singles. It was a really versatile guitar, especially when I was doing like the gigs I was doing at the time. And one day I was doing a gig and the guitar was sitting on the guitar stand, and there was a fight that broke out in the pub, and it took a tumble, scratched through the top layer of paint on the front of the guitar, and I noticed this really beautiful piece of blackwood underneath it.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, I emailed Ian, and I was like, do you remember what woods this was made of? Because solid black, I couldn't tell. And he's like, oh, it's I remember it was a really nice piece of blackwood on the front, and it was a shame that I was going to paint over it. Back was poplar, but I just went, all right, started sanding it all off, and sanded it back to a natural finish, and sort of finished it by hand with a shellac finish. I'd never done that. I'd never ever finished a guitar at that point. This is when I was just starting to tinker with mine.
Yep.
And regrettably sold it a few years back. And a friend of mine, Scott, who runs a guitar shop up in Castlemaine, just sent me a message saying, "Is this your old guitar?" And and it had come across the bench there. No, at his guitar shop. Cool. So I'd gone through different pickup iterations and stuff throughout it. Yeah.
Did you get it back?
No, I didn't. No. It wasn't for sale. Someone had come in to get the pickups replaced.
Yep.
And I had a TV Jones pickup in the bridge and two Mick Brearley single coils in the neck and the middle.
Brearley.
Oh yeah.
He needs a theme song.
Oh.
he just needs and it needs to have bagpipes into the chorus because being Scottish. But, at least I think he's Scottish.
No, I think he's British, isn't he? I don't know.
Is he just?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I've just... Let's say he's from the
Chinese.
UK.
He's probably Chinese. He's probably Chinese. I've never met him face to face. Just talked to him a lot.
Yeah.
Legend of a guy. Makes. I've got a few of his pickups. But yeah. Well, so whoever bought this has obviously decided want something else.
Yeah, and they put in... Oh, what was it? And it was like... I remember just like dying a little inside when I saw it. Because the guitar still looked nice. But I think he put like an Invader in the bridge,
Look, we all loved them at one stage.
Yeah.
When we were all trying to be Dimebag.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted that Invader. because I think they were like a 16K output or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid like that.
Just a mid-range machine.
Everyone just wanted that.
And then he's put
more
2
metal.
stacked single coils, like the hot rails in the neck and the middle. I'm like, this is now just a 3 pickup Les Paul with a trem, basically.
Yeah. And I think about the only person I've ever seen play or that has used those kind of stacked single coils that I really like would be Andy Timmins.
Mm.
You know, as far as what he achieves tonality.
Or even Danny Gatton, same thing.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
But I mean, Danny Gatton could have plugged into a turd and a sock and made it sound good.
I was going to say, he could have made my old Carina sound good. So that's something pretty special. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because that whole it's in the fingers thing has become such a huge thing for me and over the years, because I have realised that most of the time when I pick up a guitar, regardless of whether it's my Tele or my Groves Buddha or whether it's even my Maiden acoustic,
sounds like
there's just certain things that still sound just like me as a player. You know, so they literally sound like you know, and somebody stands there going, "Do you really get paid to do this?"
Yeah,
and that's kind of it.
Well, have you heard that story about Brian May and Yngwie Malmsteen?
No.
So apparently Malmsteen is this huge...
Did their hair get interlocked like Velcro, and they were unable to part for weeks? They had to.
That would be probably more interesting than the story I'm about to tell. But anyway, so like he's like, apparently Malmsteen is a huge Queen fan,
right?
Which you probably couldn't hear.
Wouldn't surprise me. No, it wouldn't. No, but
doesn't really.
Because I always just pick him as Blackmore, and that's it. Richie Blackmore. He's like stolen everything Richie Blackmore ever did.
Yeah.
And Paganini and all these other or Pagani or whatever.
Those.
I don't know, whatever, that fashion label.
Yeah.
But what, you know,
So he's meeting Brian May at something, and there's the AC30 and the treble booster, and the red special.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna get to play the red special. I'm finally gonna sound like Brian May." Plugs in, he sounds like Yngwie. I'm like, yeah, even that sound is definitely in his hands.
Now, if I'm not wrong, I remember actually, because you have a podcast as well. Remind me what it's called.
Questionable Talent.
Questionable Talent.
Yeah.
Great name. And the first interview or the first podcast I listened to, that was the one you did with Jeremy Klingon.
Yeah. Which
is a great hour and a bit of entertainment.
Yeah.
And I remember you talking about your amplifier then, and the 6-position dial on it, and just how you miss it, but it's heavy. I think you mentioned
it was heavy. I had it made. I had this Blackwood. Oh no, what was it? It was a Jarrah case,
right?
That I had made by a dude in Western Australia back when the only way you would source these things would be through like old forums, like what was that Aussie Guitar Gearheads?
Yeah.
Did you ever part of that?
No, I wasn't. I think it's still around though. It's just called Gearheads.
Yeah, and like that was, you know, where I find
if I get
it'd be 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd be reading about
and that's
pedals and
precisely why I don't get on them. If I actually got involved on technical terms trying to talk about stuff that I thought I knew about, I'd be put to shame by some 12-year-old who knows all of this stuff.
Oh yeah, but it's never owned any of that equipment.
No, but they know it inside out, man. And I mean, there was a time though, right? There was a time when I lived in New Zealand for 22 years, and during that time I ran guitar shops for about 13 years. So of course I had to keep up to date with everything, so I knew what was going on. But I think once I stepped away from that and just started playing, all I cared about was just what happened to be in my hands and what was on stage. And what was great about that is that it no longer became about trying to keep up with whatever the latest gadget was and thinking, I now need this Nobles pedal, or I need this, you know, boutique pedal from blah, blah, blah. And this, you know, because it just simply became about, well, what sounds good to me?
Yeah.
And I think when you most guitar players, when you reach that point, or musicians in general, whether it's no matter what you play, when you reach that point where you realise it's just about what is making you happy right there and then, and finding that tone that you can hold on to for a long time. Because I found that no matter what I bought them all back to trying to sound the same as what I already had.
Yeah.
So it
just ends up sounding like
yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've been running the Helix for a few years now, and I find that there's more pedals in there than I've ever owned, I reckon. But I've owned a lot of the things in there, like amps, pedals, all that kind of stuff. So I think having that understanding of how the physical things actually work does help you get a sound. But most of the time I come back to, you know, because they have to legally give them weird names,
Yeah,
like, to get around.
It's kind of like, so you know what you're looking at, but they're not going to get
the Minotaur. But there was one on there, and for some reason I was plugging into this one overdrive pedal on there, and I just had it straight into Clean Amp, and I was like, this is probably one of the best sounding overdrives in here. And I'm like, it was called Stupor. It was called Stupor Drive, right. And I was like, oh, it's a Boss Super. It's a Super overdrive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, gotcha.
It's the best sounding pedal in there.
Yeah,
it's just so I never would have thought to plug into that little.
So basically, the SD one.
Yeah, the SD one.
Yeah, look, I've got one sitting at home from 1983.
Yeah, I think I got one on the shelf as well.
They're just, even the Malaysian ones. I mean, I can hear slight differences between a Japanese one and but it's got to be.
But if you're at a gig,
I've got to be just woken up with fresh ears to hear it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hear.
Well, you can't do the Eric Johnson thing and tell the difference between a 5 and a 6-inch patch cable.
Man, I'll tell you what, that man's a machine, isn't he? How good is he though?
There's parts I can understand the battery thing, but like the cable length thing between pedals, I was like, I call bullshit on that.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the battery thing, right? Because I had I wouldn't have picked up on it personally until, and it's another one of these things that I can't believe how long I've been playing guitar before I got educated on this.
Yeah.
But I hadn't used batteries in a long time.
Yeah.
But I had an original 1977 Phase 90 script logo, Phase 90. And I just wasn't using it.
Yeah.
I never used it. I had it for a year. I bought it as part of a collection off a guy. And I thought, well, I'll sell it. This guy came around to try it out, and it turned out he did a lot of kind of like technician work for various guitar players around town. His name escapes me. But he bought... I plugged it up. I'd put an Energizer in it, alkaline battery, played it. And he was like, yeah, that's really nice. He said, do you mind if I just swap the battery out? I'm like, yeah, cool. Sure. I said, it's a fresh battery. He goes, no, that's all right. And he pulled out this Panasonic battery. And he put that in. And the pedal came alive.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where it was so audibly different. I was like, that's not for sale. Can I buy your battery? No, look, I'll let him take it. So, from all of that, obviously, you started tinkering with mucking around with your old guitar and pulling things apart. Is that what kind of started your mind ticking with wanting to build?
The building is actually pretty new to me. Like,
because it doesn't look like it's something that's relatively new to you.
It's like 2 years ago was the first thing that I built. Yeah.
So, okay, because, and again, I'm going off what I've seen, obviously, on Instagram and so forth, and from other players who have mentioned you and talked about playing your products. And so there was obviously a skill set prior to just starting guitars, or did you seriously just go, I want to build guitars now, I need to go buy some tools? So
I've been repairing... So originally, I lived in like a 2-bedroom apartment, and I had an IKEA bench in my kitchen, and I had my fret files and like the little half rock melon thing for the neck rest, I just started that.
Thank you, Stu.
Exactly. Yeah. And I started just doing that, like just tinkering with my own guitars, and then I was doing some setups and stuff for friends, people who were trustworthy enough, or like who trusted me enough to lend me their guitars.
It's good to have trustworthy.
Exactly.
I like to keep some, what's the opposite to trustworthy? Trustless?
Yeah, I guess.
Trustless.
Yeah,
I think that goes into the Rictionary. I've got a thing called the Rictionary. Troublem.
Is it a trouble problem? Yeah.
Works every time. So Troublem. Which may have existed prior to me.
Yeah.
But it goes in the Rictionary.
Yeah, right.
And for things with stories, Wikipedia.
I do enjoy a good Wurge, I'll call
Wurge.
it. It's like a portmanteau, but a dumber version of it.
I like it.
It's a word merge.
Words merge. I like it. Anyway, so yes, back to you.
Yeah. Well, no, so like I was doing these setups and stuff in my kitchen, and like what would happen in a kitchen, my fret files got all rusted and stuff from me cooking in the same room. I thought you were
going to say with the same tools.
No.
Like cooking a bit of steak with a
yeah.
fret file. Yeah.
No, so like and I had to ditch some of those, and I've still got a lot of them now. But moved into a house after that. After customers started actually bringing me guitars, and then I started repairing guitars for the Allen's Billy Hydes in Greensboro.
Oh yeah, cool.
So I started repairing for them, and then when Allen's went belly up, kind of just went, all right, well, guess I'm not doing that anymore. And by that time, I had a bit of a clientele of people who just brought their guitars to me over at my place in Kew.
Yep.
And but for a good year that I was living there, I just had like a workbench set up inside, and that was it. And I just did setups and stuff. And then I had this really shitty old one-car garage with the asbestos walls, a leaky roof, all this stuff, and I never used it in the entire year that we were there because like it was made that little bit like too narrow to fit a modern day car in.
Right.
So I was like, all right, well, I couldn't actually get my car in there, so I was like, I had no use for it. And then one day I decided to just build a bench in there, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll make a studio desk. So I made a studio desk, and I built a couple of random things that I wanted in my studio at home. And then it would have been 2016, I think. Maybe I was like, I'm gonna have a crack at building a guitar, and it's to date still the most expensive guitar I've ever built because of the fact that like I do a job and then I go, oh shit, I need this tool, and I have to go out and buy it, and I go, oh, now I need a spindle set, now I need a bandsaw, now I need
that
this.
initial outlay.
So yeah, and or like even just learning that kind of stuff, like because I'd never really done much woodworking. I think I failed woodworking when I was at school. Like
I didn't even start it.
Yeah.
I think I sat there looking at things. I've even with my last name being Wood, you'd think I'd have some kind of inclination to it. It wasn't until much later in life I thought I should muck around with it.
Yeah.
Going to hold you for 2 seconds.
Yeah. So
I'm going to check that camera.
Cool.
I want to make sure that it's still working.
It says it is.
Still going?
Yeah.
Good.
That advert we brought to you with that advert. I'll actually have to think of some kind of advert to run in that section there. I might have to make up an advert like these are brought to you by Boogabits or something like that. Boogabit clean.
We can just give free advertisement to some nice Australian company like Mick Brealey, mentioned previously on the podcast.
I will write a Brealey theme tune.
Yeah.
Brealey, really.
Yeah.
No,
what you can do, you can actually come in.
Will probably Sealy.
Posturpedic
will sue me for that one. Yeah.
Well, you could come in and you could overdub that part when you said maybe the song should sound like this, and it'll sound like you just wrote it right on that. On the spot.
Yeah. Put some auto tune on.
Yeah, there you go.
Hit.
Done.
Hit.
Instant.
Yeah. Anyway, so you've spent a crap load on tools.
Yeah, I think a lot of the tool choices that I made now are based on just my own stupidity. Like in a way, like so for example, I've got a relatively big bandsaw now because I almost killed myself.
Size matters.
I almost killed myself in my old workshop because I was trying to resaw a piece of wood. Like so, for example, if anyone who's watching doesn't know what resawing is, it's where you're taking a piece of wood and you're trying to basically split it down the middle. So if you were taking a piece that's that thick, you're trying to make it half that, and then you can book match it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, yeah, gotcha.
Kind of thing.
I've never heard it called resawing, so that's my own negligence on that part.
So I was trying to do that, but I didn't. My bandsaw was not big enough. The throat of it was not big enough for me to get the piece through.
Yeah,
so
no.
I was like, oh well, my table saw, if I jack it all the way up and I do one pass over and then I do another pass over, I'll be able to do it.
Like flip it, you mean?
And then I pass it over. Yeah, and I've done the first lot.
Yeah.
And I go to, and I've got this, it's this big piece of mahogany.
Yeah.
And I go to do it again, and the thing just kicks back. So like the table saw blade grabs it on the way past, and it flings this thing like an inch past my face, and it puts a dent in the back wall of my garage. And I was like, I walked inside and I said to my girlfriend, I was like, I think I just almost killed myself with the table saw. And then I was like, I bought a bigger bandsaw that week, so I didn't have to ever do that ever again.
Yeah.
So table saws still scare the shit out of me.
And you know what's? Have you seen the videos of the ones that will stop as
The
soon?
saw stops, yeah. I want one.
It's just scary though, because the part of me goes, the people get a sausage.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, but my fingers aren't made of sausage.
But have you seen the dude who made it?
The guy who actually
The guy who made it is so confident with it. In his first demo, he sticks his hand in the table saw, and he gets like this tiny little nick. It doesn't even bleed, and I'm like, I've hurt myself worse than that 10 times this week with like chisels, like
butter knives.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? It's like this thing. You know how there's things that make people cringe.
Yeah.
And to me, it's when anybody talks about damage to hands.
Oh yeah, that shit keeps me up at night.
That
I'll
scares me.
be drifting off to sleep, and I'll just be like, oh, as in like I've chopped the finger off on my table saw.
I can watch somebody have a leg cut off.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right, because I can still play guitar with no legs.
Yeah,
and to be honest, I've seen people with no arms play amazingly.
I've seen that too. The dude playing Eruption.
Yeah,
with his feet.
Yeah, man, that guy's amazing.
Insane.
At Tony Iommi.
Yeah,
who's lost the tips of his on his right hand, obviously lost the tips of his fingers, and then plays
like prosthetic thing, doesn't he?
He does now, yeah. I mean, for a while he used like thimbles.
Yeah,
like writing thimbles and stuff like
that.
Yeah, which I thought drummers use thimbles. And he said the biggest challenge he had was just being not able to feel the string.
Mm.
He didn't have that sensation of touching a string. It was just a numb feeling.
Yeah.
So the sensation of playing had to slowly change the way his nerves felt in order to just adopt a new style of playing.
Yeah. Which ones? I don't even know which fingers he's missing.
These two.
Those two. It would make so much more sense if it was these two.
Just the tips.
Yeah. Because that whole power chord thing would make a whole lot of sense.
It would, But it's just the tips, and it's amazing what people overcome to still do what they have to do as musicians or to create, regardless of what they create.
I've often thought about that, as in like
it's hard to
what instrument would I play?
Bandsaw, but
yeah, what instrument would I play if I lost the ability to play guitar? What would you do?
Sing.
Yeah. Sing.
I'd have to say I'd probably sing and play a Pratley stomp box.
Yeah, right.
Because I thought I could sit there. I'd be a bit like Homer Simpson when he's kind of
strapped some spoons to your hands.
No, but it's I suppose I've always had that thing that at least I can sing.
Yeah.
If I can't play guitar, I can still sing, and if I can't sing, well then I can still play guitar.
I'd just be like, have you ever seen Talladega Nights?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where he's like, what do I do with my hands? Like, if I was singing without a guitar in my hands, I'd look way more awkward than I do when I do with a guitar in my hands.
It's such I forget things when I don't have a guitar that reminds me of my triggers.
Yeah.
Lyrically, because when you do spans, like I'm 45, and I suppose I've been singing in bands mostly since I was about 18, or shouting in bands, and then started singing probably when I was about 28. But there's certain things that I play that trigger what the words are going to be.
Yeah.
And so when I've gone on stage to sing with bands, like even if it's something like if somebody says, "Oh, hey man, do you want to come and sing some Bon Jovi or Guns N' Roses or something like that?" and I'll walk up and then just kind of go, "Wait, I don't know the words," because I'm so used to going this. As soon as you hit a certain note, you know that's what triggers the next part. It's that's the muscle memory thing.
Yeah, and but it happens the same with playing guitar, because I've noticed that, like, sometimes you'd be driving your car and you'd be like, how did I get here? Like, and you're like, have I run 10 red lights because I haven't really been paying that much attention?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So
That's the only way to drive. I already have a Google driverless car. I don't, yeah.
But I'd be on stage and I'd play an entire set and I'd be like, shit, I've just played 8 songs and I can't even remember doing it. Yeah. But then sometimes I'd be playing a song that I haven't played in a while, and I'd be like, in the verse, I'm like, oh shit, how's the pre-chorus go? I get to the end of the verse and my hands would just go and just do what they needed to do. I'm like, oh, yeah, right. Because the part before it cued what my hand was supposed to do.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing, isn't it? It's interesting that I look at when I'm playing music, to me it's a very zen kind of thing, I suppose, and it's literally meditation to me.
Yeah.
And because I find that and I read a little book a little while ago. Well, actually, I read a couple of paragraphs, and then I kind of went, no, I don't want to read the rest. But it was by a guy called Osho, who was quite controversial in his time. But he kind of ended up running a cult called I think they were known as the Orange People. Yeah. Which I thought were Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
But that's different. And we shouldn't bring that into it because we're getting onto a religious topic, which is always a scary thing. But he talked about meditation didn't mean just sitting there and going, and trying to zone out and switch your brain off. He said it's when you're doing something that you love so much and are really passionate about and just so natural at it that you don't even have to think about doing it.
Yeah.
That's true meditation.
Yeah, like if people are doing improvisation, I reckon I could improvise over 12-bar blues for a day.
Yeah.
And not even realise. Just because time just goes away. But I get the same thing with when I'm working on guitars or anything like that, like building or just repairing. And I just get obsessed with something and I'll always get, a text from my girlfriend just saying, don't forget to eat. Because I've been down there for 14 hours in the workshop working on things, and I'm like, oh wait, I've had only a glass of water today and nothing else.
Why have I got a headache?
Yeah,
it's fun. I'm like that with fret dressing. Where I'm obviously trying to. You're in a kind of a similar position all the way down the fretboard. Yeah, and that's why I don't do fret dressing on 24 fret guitars. I think 21's enough. Maybe 22 at a stretch. Those extra 2 frets are going to kill me. But if I'm doing a fret dress or something like that, there's just something about that zone you get in, and as you kind of, for me, I know some guys who they'll do 1 fret at a time.
Yeah, that's not me.
Whereas I have to go, no, I'm doing 1 tool at a time, or 1 piece at a time because
I treat it like a production line.
Yeah,
I go this job, that job, that job.
Yeah, that job. And I find I like it because there's that method and there's that zone you get into, and again, time does disappear, and and there's something about just finding trying to find that perfect little bit of center and get that nice curve. Yeah. There's something that's satisfying about trying to take a photo at the end, trying to make the frets look as shiny as possible. Yeah. And you always feel like, if only the photo could look as good as what I can really see now, so people can truly see how good this looks.
That's one thing I always struggle with. I try to take photos of guitars, but they're insanely hard things to take a good photo of.
I suppose, yeah. No matter how long you try to get a decent angle on that, it looks nothing like it will in the flesh. No. And, and it is the same. Every guitar I've ever owned, like my Bellman Albatross, which I've recently sold, the top on that is this incredible quilt kind of, I think it's a Victorian ash top or something like that. And it's an insane quilt, but do you think I can even slightly get it to look as good in a photo as it does in the flesh?
Yeah, it's so hard to capture that.
Absolutely.
And
it's the depth, it's the 3D aspect of that. That the way it changes as it rolls and tilts. Yeah,
and then you look at the photo and you're like, oh shit, I can see my face in the reflection of the pickup, and it's like me standing there
I do that
holding a light and doing something really awkward.
I try to do that with most things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one's really tricky to get that out of there.
So look, with building guitars, I've seen a few of your builds, and you seem to have a relatively diverse influence. I'd kind of pick that you're not necessarily, some guitar builders are very rightfully very good at building kind of their 1 or 2 kind of things. Yeah. Whereas you tend to have displayed a pretty wide, pretty wide passion for different types of styles and builds and stuff. Yeah. Would you say are you deliberately quite an eclectic builder, or who would you say your influences are that have brought you to?
Well, I think I have so many different guitars that come across my bench from a repair standpoint, and I love certain things about them, and I try and bring those things into, if it's a new guitar design, or I'd be like, hey, I don't have a Jazzmaster, I'll build one, that kind of thing. But the other thing is that I wouldn't put myself in any camp. Like, some people are like, are you a Gibson or a Fender guy? I'm why not both?
I'm just
I'm
the same. Yeah.
I have Gibson style guitars. I have Fenders. I have PRSs.
You might get sued for that, by the way. Just saying. The G word.
Yeah. Authentic. Is it authentic?
Is it authentic? Because if you and we can do, Can you do the Mark Agnesi face?
Oh no, I can't.
That's what he's doing. That's his thing.
I don't know whether because he's sort of taking the piss out of it too. Like,
he is now. Yeah,
him,
I've looked at his page and see that he's kind of choosing some of his favourite memes.
Yeah,
and I suppose that is probably the best way to take the fire out of the battle, I suppose.
But he just chose that path really badly, like because he obviously had that script.
I don't know if he chose it,
but I mean, he could have clearly just read it. He didn't read it off the cuff.
No.
He read it. He knew what the intent was.
It's not his usual style, and
they weren't expecting it to go down so badly.
It's clearly gotten them a lot of lot of mileage for marketing, and who knows. I always
be a PR
say
stunt.
It could be. I was going to say, for every time somebody does something bad, they've probably already got the backup plan for how they're going to salvage, save that.
Yeah.
And people will go, "Oh, that's a good save."
Yeah.
I love them again.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I genuinely thought that when Gibson announced when they put on the new CEO, whose name escapes me, but when they did announce taking Mark Agnesi on, I kind of hoped that maybe there was some kind of hope there for
something
for
good
Gibson.
Would happen. Yeah.
Because, anyway, let's not...
Because they've been they've almost been like pretending to be a guitar company for the last couple of years.
Why are we giving them any time?
Yeah.
They owe us money now for advertising time.
Yeah.
So...
Let's give time to guys like this.
Oh, man, Millet, when I saw your video of you opening that...
Yeah.
I was like...
I wanted to capture that.
I think I either messaged you or said something, or commented, but under my normal music page.
Yeah.
Just because you were the first person I knew of in Australia to have one. I mean, I'm sure there's another one out there somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's one other in Melbourne and there's a couple...
Yeah, right. But predominantly I was like, oh, man, because I've been following his stuff on as most of us do. A lot of us probably do follow a lot of similar... kind of builders online and kind of think, oh man, these guys are great,
Yeah. Well, you haven't played it yet, so I'm going to grab it just so you can actually feel it. Just because I feel like it's something that you need to...
Well, it doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah. That's the thing that freaks everyone out the first time, so...
So what would you put that at, like 2.3 kilos?
I'd say even less. I mean, like, so for a display of it, that's 2 fingers and it's still not that heavy. Like... Yeah,
man. I mean, my tally that I'm just kind of been I'm using various builders to have done parts for it, Australian builders, and that kind of comes in at 2.9, and it feels great. It's probably about to have another 200 grams put into it because I've decided to run a second pickup and not just the single neck pickup. Dude.
Yeah.
That just feels great. I love the way he's done the frets.
Yeah, so the ends don't meet the ends of the board.
They're not fret ends.
You don't feel them.
They're fret shortfalls.
Yeah.
They're not fret ends because they don't reach the end of the neck. So that you only feel just very light.
Yeah.
Man, that's great.
Did you have a look at the back of it?
I know. That's pretty special, isn't it? I like that this bit. And that bit makes it look like a robot face.
Yeah.
I'm an angry robot.
I've never seen that before.
And I always see faces in things.
Yeah.
Like people. I look at people and I go, there's a face.
Yeah. If anyone could give me a run for my money on dad jokes, I think you're killing me here.
I am a dad.
Yeah.
Are you a dad?
No, so I'm not. I just have lots of guitars and 2 cats.
I don't even know why you're competing.
Yeah.
And so... geez, the work is great. I mean, it's almost like his copper lining.
Yeah.
Or copper white, like it's actual copper pipe.
Well, I asked him about that, and I said, what is it? And it's actually from when he did the fit out of his shop. It's just leftover copper from doing the lighting. In his workshop.
Because that looks like it's about, 2 mil thick kind of copper pipe.
Which I would love to find somewhere because like
internal plumbing.
But even the idea of functionally what that would do... I don't know if I'll be able to get
a decent enough shot of that. Can I see that in the... I'm in low battery mode. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Trying to get that right angle of light. but there is copper piping in there that just looks.
You can take a photo and.
I'll take a photo. What do you know?
But I mean, like even something like from a functional standpoint.
I'm going to have to stop soon, and we'll have to charge up and take a bit of a short break and
that's
chin
good.
wag.
So I mean, if you turn like how occasionally a pot will come loose and people will turn them. And then it'll the first thing to normally break is the ground wires because of they're soldered to things. But that is holding that in place. That stuff is never going anywhere. So, yeah.
And even just, I mean, everything about it, like that's a great design. And this is obviously his logo.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Which makes sense because of the name. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that is stunning.
Yeah.
I'm and thank you for letting me hold that. I never expect to be able to just grab someone's guitar and it's because I just wouldn't do such a thing. And I used to have it at gigs. If people come up to me and say, "Hey man, can I play your guitar?" I'd be like,
"Oh no, definitely not in that."
Dude, I wouldn't let you touch my wife.
Yeah,
my partner. So why would I let you touch my guitar?
Yeah.
I love
if the
these
people I know, I'll lend them out to people. I don't
care, yeah. It's the same boat, but it's funny. Yeah, but I just never expect that of anyone. And is that an ash body?
No, it's walnut as well.
Yeah, right.
So apparently he called it soft walnut. I don't really know
what that means.
Yeah, like because it's walnut neck. This was substantially lighter in color when it was natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean he carves that whole shape, like roughs it in with an angle grinder.
Wow.
Which frightens the shit out of me even more than table saws.
Yeah. But that's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love the real porous kind of finish too.
Yeah, it's milk paint.
Milk paint. Yeah. Oh, so like a water based. Is that what they kind of mean? Like
it's actually called milk paint. Yeah. So I assume it has milk in it somewhere, but I don't know. Like. So, I'm not lactose intolerant.
I was going to say.
I'm quite tolerant of
imagine
lactose.
that if you got it and you went and it just. Oh, I feel sick, like.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. All right, so we're going to have a wander around your workshop.
Yeah, sure.
That was great. So thanks for having us.
Cool.
And we'll see you later.
I'll see you later.
Yeah. All right,
so I don't know if
this is where it kind of happens, I suppose, isn't it? Like you've got your new builds kind of happening over here.
Yeah, and scrap wood waiting for bin day so I can get rid of some stuff. But I mean, I kind of wanted to have the studio and the workshop next to each other because I like that option of this being a usable second space.
Yeah.
So you probably noticed most of the stuff is either on the perimeter or it's on wheels, including my big workbench. So if I ever want to track drums, I can just get rid of this bench, move it out of the way.
Yep.
I can have drums in here. I can shut the doors and have the studio in there. Lucky enough to have like another storage area in here, which is meant to be a wine cellar. I've got like 3 bottles of wine, which you've told me is actually one of them's quite good.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. 2010 Shiraz. Good choice.
But I'm pretty much just leaving this as wood storage at the moment. That's all sort of getting guarded by my Owen Wilson poster.
Wow.
Couple of builds happening at the moment. So this is these two will be.
Sorry, you were about to show me the next, but I've come straight to the bottom.
Sure.
I'll do what I want.
So mahogany back, maple top. These will be solid black. They're basically. I'm going to make both of them the same. Yep. 2 humbuckers, shallow sort of wraparound bridge.
Yep.
Blackwood fretboard.
Nice. Man, blackwood's just one of those woods that really resonates with me at the moment. I just love it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't made a fretboard out of it yet, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it works. Mahogany necks, ready to go. So truss rods and stuff have been done. And those, like one of these will be raffled off for charity.
Yeah.
So cool. Be given that one.
And that'll be the same charity as last time?
I haven't decided yet. I probably will do a different one, but I've just got to suss out the logistics of it and see how I can donate. So how people can.
And pickup wise, you mentioned probably Mick Brearley. Really?
Yeah. So the two. So I'm getting humbuckers, like sort of old PAF style things, but he's doing them in like these custom cases with like a metal grill on them instead of like a silver sort of faceplate. Yeah, should be cool.
So kind of like a not gold foil kind of, but just that open like a mesh grill.
It's like a mesh. Yeah, it's like a mesh grill, but the surround is going to be black.
Yeah, cool.
So because the guitars are going to be painted black on the front with the natural mahogany back, kind of thing, and I might even haven't decided yet whether I'm going to maybe even try and do the PRS like masked binding.
Oh,
like,
okay,
so
yeah,
have
yeah. So
the maple be the look
opening
like
spoke
binding.
body. Yeah, nice.
But we'll see how we go. So.
Yeah. Mix wiring up, winding up a couple of pickups for me at the moment.
Really?
Actually, which are kind of the path based,
Mm.
but with just a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
Just a fraction hotter. That's all it's kind of going for, and just no splittable options or anything like that. Just straight
meat and
kinda,
potatoes. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. Because he said to me, "Do you want them splittable?" And I said, "If I want a single coil, I'll just pick up a guitar with single coils."
Yeah.
And I think that kind of solidified our friendship a bit deeper.
Yeah.
I love you, Mick. Really?
So yeah, no, great guy. I mean, his pickups are just killer, man. So
one thing I always found funny is that when people say, "Oh, if I flick into this position, it kind of sounds like a telly," I'm like, you know what sounds like a telly? Picking up your Telecaster and playing a telly.
That's right. And I mean, look, there's so many options these days with pickup makers here too. You know, I mean, even Mick knows.
Really?
You know, he's great because he recognises as like guitars. There's stacks of stuff out there.
Yeah.
And it's all about what connects with the individual.
Exactly.
You know, and I've personally really connected with several of Mick's pickups.
Really?
When you've got, I've heard interviews with guys like Rod McQueen of Slider, and I like the fact that he's very just straight down the line with what he does. And,
but I mean,
anyway.
it's that whole thing is that they're not. People sometimes see it as a bit of a competition.
Yes.
But it's not. It's like we're in a community. It's like if I know another guitar player, I don't treat them like they're competition from a musician's point of view at all.
Yeah, it's not the 80s anymore.
No, exactly.
You know,
so I mean, if I'm repairing guitars for one person, they're bringing it to me because they like what I do.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to steal business from anyone else. It's just everyone has their own customer base, and we can all make a living from it because we're in a nice population in Melbourne of musos where everyone is spoiled for choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Sign-offs are always the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, luckily we didn't capture it, so it was
sometimes
alright.
I think it's better just to go,